this is kind of a big question I'll be asking you that'll filter through the rest of what we say here. But so how did you do it then, right? When you went on your own, you were a good builder operation guys, and you had all these other things that we talk about all the time on this podcast, about market, getting your customers and being leadership and administrative duties. So how did you do it?
I I I went back to the books. I started studying the things I didn't know. You know, I hired a coach. I talked to other builders. I went through podcasts like crazy. I just found the resources to shore up what I perceived as my weaknesses, to get better. Like that's truly what I did from a fundamental level. I just went out and said, all right, this didn't work. Why? And then how can I prevent that in the future? And it's like, all right, I have to learn what I don't know. I have to figure out
Yeah.
the things I don't know and become better at those things. And I think that gave me the confidence to then pursue this further.
Martin and I have both gotten the opportunity to work with you over the last year or so. And I think one defining characteristic that I would say that you exhibit is that you're entrenched. Can you walk us through what like a typical day, a typical week looks like for you in your business? And not just the 9 to 5, but what is the time and the energy and the resources that you're putting into yourself, into your job, your business look like?
Yeah. And that's a little bit challenging to answer, especially in this period for me, Khalil, just because we've seen such substantial growth, right? So what I would consider my day to day or my week to week a month ago is pretty different, this month.
Well, not in terms of necessarily what you're working on, but just even what your schedule is. Like,
Sure.
You don't have to tell me exactly what you're working on, but how much are you working in and on the business? What does that schedule look like?
Yeah. And even there, I think what I said still applies. I would say right now,
Okay.
just from a general oversense, I am doing 80% of my work is now on the business and 20% is in the business, from like two general buckets that are terms that hopefully listeners can kind of understand. Is at the beginning of the year, I was probably the flop of that. 20% was on the business and 80% was in the business, marketing, sales activities, project management. And we've brought on team members now to help take those things kind of out of my bucket and into their bucket. And now I would say 80% of my time is working on the business in things that are training and development for the new team members and future team members that are coming on board, building out SOPs, videos and structures to what we've got, and further kind of developing myself along the way, with other sort of knowledge acquiring activities.
Alex,
Yeah.
what were some key steps that you took that enabled that? Because I've witnessed it. You went from you're the guy to you're not even in the same room with people anymore. But what made that possible? And just in general, so people can say, man, I need to do that. What kind of systems, processes, activities, mindset, acquisition of people, what made it possible?
I think it's first mindset, right? And we've kind of been touching on that with a few of these backstories, but it's like believing that I could do it and then finding resources, such as yourself, a coach to help me implement what's most important. So I'd say it's mindset, and then it's prioritizing what's important. And then it was taking action. And that action was building out kind of fundamental and foundational aspects of our business. CRM, we utilize HubSpot, but getting a CRM to track our sales information, really get some key data back there. We've utilized Buildertrend. That was our first software as a project management tool to really organize and consolidate all of our job, files, schedules, estimating, anything related to job documents goes in there. And then lastly, kind of sort of internal team communication and document control with sort of, we use G Suite. So our internal sort of communication, file storage, data collection through G Suite. So I think those have been, instrumental in the growth that we've seen this year in kind of getting us from A to B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what I was trying to hit at is that you're working 7 days a week and you're up late at night brainstorming documents and getting on a whiteboard. You're constantly listening to podcasts, trying to connect with people. You're looking to network with people in your area that are 10 times your size. And that, while yes, there's a difference in working in, working on, you're entrenched. Like you're not, this isn't just something that, yes, you've replaced your 9 to 5 from a W-2 to owning your own business. This is, hey, my life right now is, yes, I have a family, I'm married, got a kid, but I am 100% in on Northbuilt, and I'm giving every ounce of my attention to this business to get it to a place where I can step out, and I can replace myself. And I would say that's a defining characteristic that has allowed you to have the right mindset, allowed you to prioritize, and allowed you to take action on the things that matter. Is that you're not just giving 8 hours a day to it, because that's not possible to get to that point, in my opinion, with as quickly as you have. It takes that entrenchment in the business that you have, and it's really inspiring to see. And I think a lot of people need to hear that, because they go to work every day and they put maybe even 10 hours a day in the business, and they're not getting to where you are, of replacing themselves, of implementing their tech stack, of getting organized, of finding the right people to fill holes in their business. And it's because they're not as entrenched, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I maybe misunderstood what you meant by that, but yeah, in my word, I would call it committed. And
Yeah.
if you're listening to this, I think you have to determine what you're committed to. Everyone always says well, the gurus and all that, like figure out your why. I'll be honest. I've tried to do that. I don't really know it, but what I do know is I really like this, and I really want to try to build a big business that provides for a lot of families, a lot of team members, and does something really great for clients and customers, across Colorado and hopefully beyond there at some point. So I think that's what it really comes down to, is like figuring out what you want. And then if that's what you want, then go for that. And maybe that's taking every Friday off. And that's fantastic. Like if you can do that and that's what you want, then you've done it and you've made it. And that's a success in my book. And for me, to your point, Khalil, it's like, I'm just really committed to seeing how big we can get, and how many customers we can serve, and how we can change. I would say I really want to change the narrative of what it means to be a contractor. I think for years that's been, we can make jokes of like the plumber's crack, or the contractor who steals money, or any of that, which is still rampant in the industry today. I mean, it is a low barrier to entry. You can throw tools in the back of a car and be like, I'm a contractor. And that's great. There are great guys who I started like that. Some of the best ones started like that. But how do we get rid of the riffraff and sort of this, this idea that, oh yeah, you can just take a bunch of money up front and then don't go do the project. Like that to me is just absurd. Like it just shouldn't be allowed. So yeah, I think you got to be committed, and you got to know what you're going for.
Yeah, we got a couple that we'll hit on here in a minute. I do want to finish that thought on being committed, because I think before you fully went on your own, you had trouble in your W-2, that you were fully committed, but that's not really what they were looking for. Can you share a little bit of that story, and
That's
just
a great story. Yeah.
yeah, how you switched gears there?
Yeah, I was on board with the large global construction consulting firm. We'll leave it at that. Great organization, employee owned, like so many wonderful perks, great team, sharp minds. I mean, really cream of the crop, like really fun people to work with. And I just have so much to give that when I'm in and ready, and I want more, and I want more on my plate, and I want to be involved. And I want to see how we can, grow faster, be better, do better all the time. And it got to a point where, I was completing all my tasks and my duties, and it wasn't very challenging. And so I was looking for more, and I was kind of teetering back and forth of like, am I going to stay? Am I going to go? Where am I at? It wasn't a real clear cut, like, this isn't for me anymore. Like my previous roles, I've kind of just been like, yeah, it's ready to move on. And it's been pretty easy for me to make those decisions. This one, I was really kind of on the fence, and I sort of walked into my manager's office, and we had a one-on-one, and I told her, I was like, you're only getting 30% of me. Like truly, that's what you're getting from me right now. I would really love to be, to give more. Like, where can I help? What can we do? Like, I want more. And I kind of wanted to move over into like a sales role where I could hunt a little more, instead of being sort of a consulting technician. and that just wasn't getting any traction. I really wasn't swallowing on deaf ears. And this is sort of my last throw. And she didn't really say anything. She just really didn't even respond to that. And that was the tell for me. I'm like, okay, well, this isn't the spot for me anymore.
Yeah. And you have a great line that I loved hearing from you, is that, they seemed pleased with 30% of my effort. So I decided to give 100% to myself.
Exactly.
And I just think that's such a great mindset of, if you know you can give more, why not give it to yourself rather than just give it to someone who doesn't even appreciate it?